Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's GeneralTarheel bringing you the PMU-D League Season 1 Week 2 battle versus Coach Matt and the Green Bay Golisopods. Now, just a quick note, my Week 1 battle versus the Houston Raichus and Coach Tesla Mouse is delayed because Tesla's DS unfortunately broke with the capture card, so he's trying to get that fixed. So I will upload Week 1 when I do eventually get that battle versus Tesla done with. So as of right now, we're still sitting at 0-0, and I believe Matt is 0-1. And looking at Matt's roster, his roster consists of Weavile, Milotic, Donphan, Serena, Vikavolt, Golurk, Mega Alakazam, Salamence, Klefki, Blaziken, and Frogadier. And just looking at the draft just from at the beginning, Weavile is definitely a threat versus my team, and setup Salamence is always scary. And just Mega Alakazam is just a pure wall breaker with its special attack and speed. Always forces to bring a Scarfer form of strong priority because it's not necessarily bulky. It's really frail on the defensive side. And it can be handled decently well, but Trace also makes it very interesting. Like, if it came in on my Jellicent, it would trace my Water Absorb, and if I go over Scald, and it would get its HP back. So that's very interesting. Milotic is a little bit of a hard wall to break down, especially if it gets status because of the Marvel scale. Donphan's a solid spinner and such for his team. Klefki gives him the priority that stops me from possible sweeping with like Lucario, Mega Charizard X. Just small things like that. Otherwise, his team doesn't really scare me too much. Just those main threats. And as for my team build, I opted to bring Jellicent, Mega Charizard X, Skarmory, Aerodactyl, Jolteon, and Lucario. And we'll just go from what I have here. For Jellicent, we had a Colbur Berry Water Absorb Jellicent with Taunt, Shadow Ball, Scald, Recover. This was mainly defense with a lot of speed in order to outspeed Milotic. Basically, I walled Milotic 100% with Jellicent, since I would outspeed and get a taunt and it wouldn't be able to toxic me. And at that point, unless he was carrying like HP Electric or something like that, that wouldn't even be doing that much. Jellicent could 1v1 Milotic and would force a switch in. And Shadow Ball just allows me to hit the Mega Alakazam if need be. Originally, I was Kasib Berry Jellicent in order for me to take a Shadow Ball better from Mega Alakazam, which would have been helpful. But I opted Colbur just so I could be a check for Weavile and get a free Scald off on Weavile if I needed to. And then Recover, of course, just to get my health back. And next up we have Charizard X. And I brought a Roar, Dragon Dance, Flare Blitz, Dragon Claw set. Very bulky. No speed investment, just HP and attack with some speed F. Mega Charizard X's kind of role was to just roar out Pokemon and get a lot of hazard damage, because I did plan on stacking with Skarmory, considering his I knew he would only bring Donphan because Serena had a bad matchup, so his only spinner was going to be Donphan if he brought one. And Jellicent is spin blocks and walls Donphan 1,000,000%. And that's another reason behind the Colbur Berry, not just Weavile. So Charizard just clicking Roar allows it to get damage off on the team. That's necessary answers for Charizard X. And then it also allows me to get possible Dragon Dance on a Mon that otherwise can't take on Charizard X. Like if his Donphan came in because he wanted to be a defensive answer for my Charizard, and I roar out and it goes into Vikavolt, Vikavolt would take like a lot of damage from Stealth Rocks. And then I would also get a free D-Dance against Vikavolt because it's not really going to be doing much against me. And Flare Blitz and Dragon Claw, of course, were the very strong stabs. And then next up we have the Skarmory. It was a defensive Skarm set with, once again, just enough speed to outspeed Milotic. I had Stealth Rock Spikes, Iron Head Taunt, with leftovers, Sturdy of course. This was unfortunately not a roost set, just because I was relying on the move slots. The leftovers was going to be my only form of health regen. It was hardly a check to Weavile just because of that, because I didn't have roost. But of course, if you're roosting against a Weavile, you're just risking on Mystical Crest flinches, which happens majority of the time against Skarmory anyways, I feel like, once Weavile versus Skarm. But Stealth Rock Spikes, because once again, I want to hazard stack him and force that on Donphan to try and take on Jellicent. And then I have Iron Head just to get off any damage against things that I feel necessary. It was mainly to get damage off on the Alakazam, and I can hit Klefki neutral, which was very important. And then I have Taunt for both of my Milotic, Outspeed, and then Klefki, as well as Donphan. So Skarmory was just going to be more of the hazard steader, and then it could be a sack by that point. And then next up I have Aerodactyl with Choice Scarf Unnerve. This had Stone Edge, Aqua Tail, Tailwind, and Earthquake. Scarf Stone Edge allows me to still take care of Salamence after a +1 D-Dance. Aqua Tail allows me just to get coverage for Donphan. If I think it's a switch in, Aqua Tail would be able to 2-hit KO from certain ranges. It had to be a little bit lower than max, of course. It didn't do over 50% if he was max defense. Tailwind was helpful for any possible setup I wanted to do. And then Earthquake allows me to hit the Klefki, which is mainly the one thing that I want to be able to hit. Otherwise, I wanted to bring something else for a form of coverage, but I felt like Earthquake was more necessary because I knew the Klefki was coming. And then next up, we have the Jolteon Zapcat. Jolteon had just enough speed to outspeed Weavile. It had Focus Sash, Quick Feet. I brought Quick Feet instead of Volt Absorb, so Mega Alakazam could not come in on my Volt Switches or Thunderbolts. I had the moveset Agility, Baton Pass, Thunderbolt, Hidden Power, Ice. This really just allowed me to be, one, a check at the end if he doesn't have rocks up, because I didn't bring Defog Scarm, so if I stopped him from getting up rocks, then Jolteon was allowed me to counter any setup from the Salamence or the Alakazam. Just by doing some sort of damage on the Salamence, I could one-shot with HP Ice if I wanted to. Mega Alakazam, I would only getting a little bit of damage, but Thunderbolt would be just enough damage in order for E-Speed on Lucario to kill, or Choice Scarf Stone Edge on Aerodactyl would kill, of course. But the point of this was basically get an Agility Baton Pass into my Lucario, which is a setup Lucario, as I'll go over right now. I had Lucario with Justify with a Life Orb. HP with Attack with just enough speed to outspeed any Corrupt Mons or anything like that. Swords Dance, Close Combat, Extreme Speed, Ice Punch. With an Agility or behind a Tailwind, this actually swept his team after an SD. It one-shots Milotic and Donphan after a +1 Close Combat, even if they were both max defense. The only exception is if Milotic gets statused and it's max defense, then it will live a +2 Close Combat, of course. E-Speed does a lot of damage to the Mega Alakazam, which I needed. Ice Punch allows me to take out Salamence. Of course, I had to make sure I would get that Agility Pass or Tailwind in order to actually hit Salamence with that, because otherwise Salamence does outspeed me. Even though I had just enough to outspeed a defensive Salamence, he was definitely going to be offensive versus me, just because it did pretty well. And that's the team. And going into the battle, I was really surprised he decided not to bring Weavile, which I was happy about, of course, but I'm still surprised in the end. But he showed Vikavolt, and that's kind of what scared me at this point, because I'm like, oh, I didn't really prep for Vikavolt. Like, this thing actually does a decent amount of damage versus me, excuse me. But, going into the battle, I knew Jellicent took on his entire team, basically, except Vikavolt. So that was definitely going to be my ideal lead right here. Jellicent was going to be important playing this match, of course, being the spin blocker for Donphan when I wanted to get up hazards. But it also did a lot versus team. So I definitely wanted to kind of preserve Jellicent while being very offensive with it at the same time. As he did lead Donphan just trying to get up rocks turn 1. Because that's what you do versus a Charizard team, basically. This gives me a free Scald as he goes into his Vikavolt. Shiny Vikavolt, very nice. I just go for the Scald, and we do luckily get the Scald burn against this. By that damage calc, it did show that he was an offensive, whether that be Choice Scarf, Life Orb, or anything else like that. And right here, I predicted he would go for the Bug Buzz because Jolteon would be switching in and taking the Volt Absorb, and I was right, which was very good because I had no switch into this thing anyway, so it was really risky considering my Jellicent took on his entire team just about. But that costed him because he was Life Orb, he took a lot of damage, and now one more Scald will have Jellicent take out this Vikavolt. Jellicent's looking really good right here, as he has to bring out some sort of answer, which his best is Mega Alakazam, of course. And I know I can live a Shadow Ball from here, and I really just want to get damage off, so E-Speed was capable of killing this thing. because otherwise it is a definite threat for my team. Because I really want to save Scarf Aerodactyl just in case Salamence gets up at D-Dance, because that he'd be expecting less than like E-Speed. And he copies my Water Absorb, but I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball here anyways, as he goes for Calm Mind, which is pretty scary. And it was actually good I went ahead and got off this Shadow Ball, because damage on a Calm Mind Mega Alakazam is much better than just getting on a regular Mega Alakazam. As we're going to do around 40% to it, not even bad. I decided to go and make a sack into Jolteon here, because I don't see its use being very helpful this game, necessarily. Which was actually interesting here. If I was the Volt Absorb, that would have been like an amazing prediction that I definitely didn't do. That was just luck right there. But we're just sacking Jolteon. We were going to get off a Thunderbolt if we could against this thing, but he just opts to go for the Side Shock and get the kill, which is perfectly fine, because now I can go hard into Lucario, aka Tarheel, and this allows me to just go for E-Speed. I know he's probably going to switch here, knowing that it will kill, but I had no choice. Plus I can go ahead and break the Sturdy on the Donphan, since that is his switch in. And as we go for the E-Speed, we do see that this Donphan is Rocky Helmet. So not only am I taking Rocky Helmet, but I'm also taking Life Orb, which just kind of adds up. But right here I knew he was going to go for Stealth Rock, so I opted to stay in and go for Close Combat, just to get Chip off on this thing, so I don't have to get a SD on Lucario late game, if it's still around. Or Charizard doesn't have to get a D-Dance. Well, technically has to get one, but it's just better for not to click Flare Blitz with D-Claw. And I know Lucario will take way too much health if I click Close Combat again, so I don't really want that to happen, so I'm opting to go Skarmory here and like bluff the Defog, and I can easily avoid the Earthquake that's definitely coming out. And once again, he does go for the Earthquake, so that was a strong prediction there. We get our leftovers back, and right now with Skarmory, I'm actually just going to go ahead and get on my Stealth Rocks, because that way I can get off damage on the Alakazam since it's now Mega and no longer has the Magic Guard. And just go ahead and get 25% on that Salamence whenever it switches in, since I am not Defog. Otherwise it would have been very nice to go for Defog there. Klefki, I was kind of assuming it'd be Magic Bounce set or something right here, so I really didn't want to go for Taunt. So I opted to switch out Skarmory here and go hard into Mega Charizard X. Gonna put on, you know, pressure. But when I do go into Zard, one, we're taking 50% from Stealth Rocks, and then two, he does just opt to go for Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave against Skarm was kind of interesting. I don't know if he was making a prediction on a switch there, but he does get the para. But we're gonna Mega right here as he switches into Donphan, and I was assuming he would just go into one of the two, either Milotic or Donphan. So I just wanted to go ahead and get off a D-Claw, because Flare Blitz was the obvious play versus Klefki. And me taking the Flare Blitz recoil and then the Rocky Helmet against the Donphan would have added up and just about put me in, like, it wouldn't have knocked me out from where I was at, but it was going to do a lot of first May. So just going for the D-Claw allowed me to get this kill on the Donphan, which is very nice. Which leads us to a 5-4 lead, and we do take that Rocky Helmet. But at this point, he can just go freely into Salamence, which he shows is an Intimidate set, not a Moxie, which is very nice. And we're just gonna let him get the kill here, because just in case he's trying to set up on like a para hack or something, I'm clicking D-Claw no matter what. But he does opt to go for the Earthquake, and that will take out my Charizard X, which isn't too big of a deal because it wasn't gonna do much after it was T-waved. And now this allows me to go hard into Aerodactyl. This doesn't show any Scarf at all, because Aerodactyl naturally outspeeds Salamence. And if he was Scarf Salamence for some reason with Intimidate, then Earthquake wouldn't be doing anything. But Salamence opts to switch out, and then he goes straight into Milotic, as I just go for the Stone Edge here, which is going to miss, which was very unfortunate, because this damage on Milotic would have been very helpful because he's Flame Orb Milotic. So gets that defensive boost from the Flame Orb, and Milotic is going to be a major threat right now. We go hard on the Jellicent in case he throws out a Scald or something like that. But I also go for the Dragon Tail, which is really nice tech for the Mega Charizard X and any switches I try to make. Which makes me go hard right back into Arrow, which is really unfortunate because Arrow's racking up on that Stealth Rock damage, which is really sad at this point. And I still know Arrow can't do anything to this Milotic. So I'm just going to have to keep making switches. And I go hard into Skarmory here. And we take more Stealth Rocks, of course, adding up. Basically, he's doing what I wanted to do this game with Charizard and Roar. So he did it a little bit better than I did. But it puts us right into Lucario. And I just want to get close combat in case he clicked Dragon Tail again, and that put him in pretty low health. Even though nothing could really kill after, because Aerodactyl still wasn't going to be doing enough as Lucario's doing right now. But after we go for the close combat, he does show that he went for the recover, knowing he was going to take a decent amount versus it. So I knew next time if Lucario comes in, I'm clicking SD versus Milotic, because he's just going to recover stall me. Because since close combat only gets 8 PP. And he takes all the burn damage and everything, so I decided to hard switch Lucario out here. We go into the Jellicent as he just clicks recover again. And this allows me to get a recover off with Jellicent no matter what, because we're going to get the outspeed. I didn't want to get the taunt because Dragon Tail was his obvious play right here. So I definitely just want to get Jellicent at a healthy amount of HP in order for him to possibly take on the Mecha Alakazam or the Salamence, or just 1v1 something later on. As we get off the recover, he does go for the Dragon Tail again. And as it brings us straight into Lucario, just like I wanted. This allows me to get up an SD right here. And as we get an SD up, he did go for the recover, which is very nice. We got our free +2, and now we're going to take down Milotic a lot. Unfortunately, though, since he is max health, this close combat will not kill. He needed to be a little bit lower. At least, I think it needed to be 2 more rolls of burn damage in order for it to KO. But it's alright, because close combat will take him down to just enough to where Jellicent will be able to get the kill with Shadow Ball. So as we go down on the HP loss, he does go for Scald instead of Dragon Tail, which is fine because they do have Scarf Aerodactyl for the Mega Alakazam. It's just going to show it, and it might stop a D-Dance Salamence, but it's the play I would need to make. I didn't want to risk Aerodactyl with Stone Edge here, so Jellicent was the best play since Shadow Ball killed. Also, no real switchness to a Shadow Ball since I can take on Klefki and everything. And Milotic is basically just ready to go down at this point. It could have healed up for Skarm technically if he was Sped Crept or something like that. But I Sped Crept my Skarm enough to where it couldn't be crept by Milotic. And he goes into Alakazam here. Once again, I am just clicking Shadow Ball, because without a Calm Mind, this Shadow Ball will kill this time. And he cannot kill me with any move that he has from the health percentage I'm at. Even if he had Shadow Ball, I would have been living on around 5%. Goes for the Side Shock, hits me on the defensive side, which is smart. Leaving me with 44, and then this Shadow Ball will take out the Mecha Alakazam as Jellicent gets its 3rd kill of the match, which is really nice. And then he just goes hard into Salamence here as he's taking more Stealth Rock damage, which is nice, bringing him to 50%. Gets off the Intimidate because physical Jellicent's a threat. And we decide to switch out Jellicent here, and I'm going to go into Skarmory, which was actually, I don't know if I agreed with that play in the end. I did it just because I could get a recover off against the Klefki, but he does opt to go for a D-Dance, which was smart on his part. And knowing that he wasn't Life Orb and he's not Moxie, I was kind of scared of Inferno Overdrive here because I lived to Fire Blast otherwise. So I switched out for Skarm, and then I went into Jellicent just to go ahead and sack this thing, because I needed to go into Arrow at one point anyways. As he just goes for the Fire Blast, showing he's not Inferno Overdrive, which is fine. He might be another set, or he might not even be like a Z move at all. But that's what I was expecting. And we just go into Aerodactyl here. And he wasn't, I was actually really worried here, he's predicting it was Scarf, but he didn't, and we click Stone Edge, and we luckily land it. So we get the kill on the Salamence here. And now, what's very unfortunate is that Aerodactyl is at 25%. I EV'd it for the stealth rocks and everything. I don't know if I could actually lived, but at this point, Aerodactyl actually died to stealth rocks. I might have just been doing the calc wrong, but I just opted to stay in with Stone Edge and just get as much damage as possible. And he shows he has the HP, which is the HP fire, only doing 13, which is kind of ridiculous. And he actually goes for the switcheroo here, which is technically a choke. I mean, I didn't lose at this point, even if I missed all my Stone Edges, but allowing me to go for something else here was not right, because he could have clicked 2 more hidden power fires and risked my Stone Edges missing, and if my Scarm didn't have Iron Head, I lost, but I did have Iron Head, so that was kind of interesting play on his part, especially since he locked himself into T-Wave, so now he actually had 0 chance of winning. As well as my Spyro can just go for Earthquake here, and that will knock out the Clef Key, and we do get the win against the Green Bay Golisopods for a solid 2-0, which makes us 1-0 for the season, since we did not face Tesla Mouse yet, and that was a very nice week 1, or very nice week 2. It was a close match in the end because that Salamence was really scary, but we had Jellicent put in a lot of work, and Lucario came in clutch, being able to take down that Milotic. I didn't think I was going to be able to beat it otherwise, but proved us wrong, and that's all that mattered. So team did very well. Looking forward to using it more. Make sure to check out next week, as well as my upcoming APA stuff in a few weeks, which would be awesome. APA Wi-Fi, and make sure to check out APA Showdown, because I'm just entering playoffs for that now. So that'll be it for me this week. Make sure to sub, like, share, deuces.